Let's now look at installation of WordPress on the Oracle OCI, that is Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. So there are a sequence of steps towards installation of the Oracle WordPress. Earlier versions had HTML, WordPress was built around HTML, but these days it's about PHP and MySQL. So the first step is to have an installation of PHP on the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. Once that is done, you got to go get into the WordPress, and then bring that WordPress package and install it on the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. That is step 2. Then the step 3 is to install, configure the MySQL. That's the database. You need to do that, and post that. You need to make entries into the virtual cloud network port entries. It needs to be port entry, not post entry. The port entry of 80 and 3306 for MySQL. So if you are using HTTP, yes, it needs to be 80. If it is HTTPS, particularly if you are using any credit card, then it is a different port. But as of now, we'll be using port entry as 80. And then finally you can log on to WordPress to complete the configuration. You need to have a just copy that. You'll see that you have to copy the file, WP config file, that you need to post it into the Linux environment. So basically 6 steps: PHP, install PHP, WordPress, then comes you need to configure, then it is port entry of 80 in the Oracle Cloud network, and MySQL is 3302, and then finally complete with the WP config file which needs to be created. So we'll see that one after the other. We'll get into the cloud instance, that is the Linux instance, virtual machine, and we'll perform the sequence of steps towards the WordPress. So this is just corrected it. It needs to be VC and port entry, which needs to be 80 for the HTTP TCP protocol. So that's about it. So stay tuned. We'll get into the instance and then perform the sequence of install. Thank you. Okay, now let's perform the sequence of steps towards installing of the WordPress. The first one is, of course, the PHP install. All the sequence of steps I have created in a file, in a notepad. So this is available in the resources section. So you can just have a look at that, download and have a look at that, and run all the sequence of steps. So the first one is we got to pull out the PHP for installing. So being open source, we are getting that and performing the install, the latest version, that is 7.4. So log into the instance, whichever the instance, Linux instance you have created in the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, and run this command. So this would take some time depending upon the connection speed which you have with the Wi-Fi network or your internet. Quite fast over here. So this is completed. So we'll get into the next step. So next one is the associated packages for PHP, because it has to PHP. Once you install PHP, yes, it creates the corresponding web-related directories where we have to install the WordPress. If you look at step number 4, initially these directories are not available, and that is where the web-related directory gets created. So next step is this one. We will have that installed. So this is quick as well, got completed. So you got to get this complete once the installation is over. You got to get that. The next one is, of course, you need to enable the PHP, and then you got to create the associated packages, step 2 and step 3. So we'll perform that. So the next step is the associated packages. That is fine. Just gives you the path, whether it is there. Enable the PHP 7.4, and finally you got to have all the required packages for the PHP needs to be installed. So we'll install the associated packages. So this takes some time. So once it is over, we'll come back and check that status as well. I think yeah, it's going on. Installed, finish dependency. Say yes. And I think should ask for one more, maybe one more time it could ask. Yep. Yes. Yes. Transaction installing. So all the associated libraries with for PHP will get installed with this because it's a sequence of packages. So those things have been installed. So it is complete. So PHP installation is done. And the next step is, of course, the WordPress. So stay tuned. We'll get into the next step, which is the WordPress install. Thank you. Let's now get into the WordPress install. Having completed the first part, which is the PHP install, let's now get into the WordPress install. Before that, yeah, there is one command you can do just to verify that PHP install is correct. So this is the one you need to run on the shell, that is on the Linux shell. So PHP -i grep loaded plugins, PHP version, tail n2, that will give the PHP version. It's 7.1 point, and so that means the installation is correct. Now let's get into the WordPress. To have WordPress, yeah, you need to get into the www directory to have the WordPress. So we change directory var www. So you are into, if you look at the present working directory pwd, it shows var www. If you look at ls-l will give the listing. So generally it will be installed under all the WordPress related one gets installed under the HTML directory. If you look at HTML, currently there is no files, but after the WordPress gets installed, you'll see all the files related to WordPress gets installed in this directory on the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. So let me say change directory, come back to the var www, and the next step is we got to get the WordPress latest start. This because it's a huge file, it will take some time. Anyways, we'll run that. So we are going to run this command. So this is quite a big file. It will take some time, and again, this is going to definitely depend on the speed of the internet you have. It is if it is good. In my case, it is completed so very fast because the network line seems to be good. Otherwise, it may take some time to completely download that file, ls-l. So this is the file tar.latest tar.gz. So that's the one we have downloaded from the WordPress. The next one is all the others which we have to ensure that some of the commands like sudo move WordPress into HTML. So all this is to ensure that we need to unzip the file and move it into the appropriate directory. So we'll run all the 4 commands one after the other. So the first one is sudo tar latest. So that is done. The next one is remove RTF HTML. That is the next one. So we will run this one. So that is now done. Sudo move, this is move WordPress HTML. So that's the next one. So that is done. And the last one is chown apache -r HTML. That's the last one. So this is the last one. So all this is done as far as the WordPress is concerned. So now if you look at let's see the installs, I mean not just the install, we have unzipped it. So let's get into HTML and see the files. You will see all of these files. You'll see WP config sample. One WP admin is for a login, and you have WP content is where you have all the templates getting in. So let's, for now, if you get into change directory WP content, now do an ls. So you have plugins, themes. So themes is where then you go into themes. You will see the themes. This is 2019, 2020, 2021, which is already there. So we'll see how to do once we have a plugin or the themes installed as block C. You will see a directory created by the name block C as well. So we'll see that as we progress. So that's about the WordPress seems to be successfully installed. We first had the installation of PHP. Now we have the WordPress, and next, of course, get into the Oracle VCN. You need to have a port entry, port entry for 80. If it is not there, you have to make the port entry, and then, of course, you got to make a firewall entry as well. That we'll see, because before that we'll get into the virtual network and the cloud network, and ensure that the port 80 is open, and then yeah, we'll get into the all the firewall entries as well. Thank you. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Let's now have the port entries on the virtual cloud network. That is one for accessing the allowing access of the HTTP. The other one is, of course, for the MySQL as well. So get into the network, into the virtual cloud network. So whatever for the specific instance, whatever is the virtual cloud network you have assigned, that needs to be used. In my case, it is my VCN2. Get into that, and then get into the security list, default security list, and that is where you need to add ingress rule. In my case, it's already there, 000 TCP 80 traffic allow HTTP. The other one is 10.0.00/16 3306. So it is already there. If you want to add, yes, you need to get add ingress rule 000 if it is all zeros followed by 80. If it is for SQL, then it is this one 16, and then the port is 3306. So these two entries needs to be made, because when the port is open is what when we connect to the web server from your, that is from the WordPress, once you have hosted it on this machine, the port needs to be open so that the outside, from the outside world, it communicates through this port of 80. So you need to have, particularly if it is HTTP, you need to have this port open. So that's about the port opening. We'll progress further into the rest of these steps. On the what is pending is we need to have the MySQL configured. Once you have the MySQL configured, yes, then you can get into the browser, and then you can open up the specific IP address. Then it will open up the page, the WordPress page. We'll see that in the subsequent presentation. Thank you.